Hey everybody, we have massive breaking news here. I'm trying to get this video up as quickly as possible. Mike Babcock has been fired as the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto pulling the plug on Babcock late this evening. It's just a little bit before 5 o'clock Eastern time here. Obviously, this season has not gone the way the Toronto Maple Leafs had hoped it would. Through 23 games so far, they're currently 9-10-4. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10 games and have lost now 5 in a row. 22 points, currently sitting outside of the playoff picture with more games played than just about everyone else in the Eastern Conference as well. So I talked, very recently, I think that video was either over the weekend or last week when I said that Mike Babcock is on the hot seat in Toronto. And very quickly here, before Thanksgiving here in the U.S., Babcock has been relieved of his duties. Sheldon Keefe will be taking over the head coaching duties for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He has been the team's AHL coach of the Toronto Marlies for the last few seasons. He's been very successful in the AHL. So we're going to see now if a coaching change can turn things around for this team. Obviously, it's been very bad the last couple weeks for Toronto. And, we usually see a jump in play after a coaching change. Usually the next couple of weeks after a team changes coaches, we see significant improvement. However, what really is the determining factor is, does that significant improvement continue long-term the way that it did for, say, St. Louis last year when they fired Mike Yeo and switched to Craig Berube? Or is it just a short-term bump like we saw with the Oilers last year, and then they end up falling off back to where they were? That remains to be seen with Toronto. We'll see how Sheldon Keefe does with this team. But the major news here, Mike Babcock is out. I know a lot of Leafs fans have been calling for this. A lot of people around the league thought that this was going to be, if they didn't show signs of getting better anytime soon, that this would be happening pretty quickly. I'm a little bit surprised it happened this quickly. I thought they'd probably give Babcock, probably into December, but that is not the case. Toronto knows that they are in trouble. They're in a very tough division. At least the top of that division is very difficult. And if they're going to make the playoffs this year and be a contending team, they have to get it turned around now. So I'm a little surprised with how quickly this happened, but also I understand why they made the move this quickly, because they have got to get heading back in the right direction here soon. So this is obviously the first major move. This is a major move by the Maple Leafs to get their season back on track. And now with this move made, this squarely puts the pressure on GM Kyle Dubis now for the rest of the season. If this doesn't change things and Toronto continues to struggle, then you're looking at Dubis being the one with the blame being placed on him, and him potentially being out of a job after this season, or maybe even earlier, depending on how things go. But that's looking ahead to the future. Right now, Mike Babcock out as head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Major news in the NHL, breaking news in the NHL, and we're going to see how Toronto responds to this. Do they start playing better? Do they get back over 500? Or does this end up, was Babcock not the issue in Toronto, and maybe their problems are a little bit bigger than just being fixed by firing and changing the coach? So Toronto, obviously a team to keep an eye on going forward to see how they react to this. But wow, Babcock already November 20th, and Babcock is out as Maple Leafs head coach. So, this was a year where expectations were high for Toronto. Another first-round playoff loss wasn't going to cut it. This team needed to make that jump forward from playoff team to Stanley Cup contending team, and they've actually gone backwards to the point where they may not even make the playoffs this year. So, obviously, it's been a really rough year for the Maple Leafs. They're trying to turn it around. They're kind of almost in desperation mode at this point to get something heading in the right direction. And obviously the axe usually falls on the coach first, and Babcock is out. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.